Welcome to Mind Your Mental Health channel. This is our 7th episode. So far we have done 6 episodes discussing about various aspects of the mind. We talked about perception, we talked about thought, and we also talked about emotions. And this episode we are going to talk about behavior. Perception, thought, emotion, behavior together forms the basics of mind. These are different aspects of the mind. This is what makes a mind what it is. We are going to do about 10 or 12 episodes talking about basics in mind. What is mind and how it works. Because you need to understand the mind, how it works, so that you will be able to understand when we talk about different disorders. What we intend to do is talk about different mental health disorders and addiction, de-addiction, alcohol and drugs, and psychosexual disorders, and marriage, marital harmony, and also about children's mental health. To understand all those topics, you need to understand the basics of the mind. That's what we are trying to do. Next few more episodes, we will be talking about mind. Today, we are going to talk about behavior. Behavior is a very important aspect of the mind, and it is also a huge topic. There are many people interested in modifying the behavior or controlling the behavior. So let's see what is behavior and different aspects of it. When I talked about mind, I tried to give an example or draw a parallel with computer. I said input device, I said output device, I said talked about central processing unit, which is our brain, our thought process, all those things. Input device is what we perceive from the world. We take in information. Output device is what we give it to the world or how we express ourselves. Like computer, we have a monitor, which is an output device, a speaker, which is an output device, or a printer, which is an output device, through which we understand what is happening in the computer, or it gives us what we ask for. Similarly, the perception, thought, and emotion together produces behavior. Behavior is what expresses our mind to the world. If I need to understand what this man or what this lady is feeling, I need to look at the person and understand the behavior by their expression, facial expression, body language, how they talk. So, how do we express? What is behavior consist of? Behavior consists of few things. One is general appearance and our behavior, physical behavior, our body language, how I present myself, how I sit, how I talk, how I walk, how I move my hand when I'm talking. All these things forms the behavior. Not only that, another important aspect of the behavior is our speech, how I express. Speech is very important in expressing what I'm thinking. Thinking is one of the major processes which goes on as part of the mind. And if I want to express that, what is happening in my mind, what I'm thinking, speech is another important tool through which I express myself. That means by listening to a person, we try to understand their mind, what is behind that, what they are thinking, what they are feeling. All those things can be expressed through the speech. So our body language and our speech, and importantly our facial expressions. As I said in the last episode, 70% of our emotions are expressed through our face. Face is a window to our mind. Looking at the face, we can see the person is happy or sad or preoccupied. Many things we can detect by looking at the face, the facial expression. All these components together constitutes behavior. So let's say what's the general appearance and the general demeanor. Now, how I dress depends on my culture, my background. All those things contribute to how I dress or what I present as. So this is one aspect of expression, how I express myself. But more than that, how I move my body around, what I do, what gestures I make also constitute the bodily expression. So all these things together produces certain information which is perceived by the person who is interacting with us and makes them understand what I am thinking or what are my emotions or what I perceive. This behavior is mediated through what we perceived, what information we have, and what emotions we have at that particular. I will give you an example. Suppose I've learned somewhere from my childhood to this date, snakes are poisonous, they are very dangerous. The moment I see a snake, the visual perception matches that image with the image what I have in my mind, in my brain. And then the brain says that is snake, that is dangerous. Then that triggers through my emotional brain certain bodily changes, which I discussed in the last episode. And that bodily changes makes me feel the fear. Fear because there is a threat. I might die. This threat and this fear makes me behave in certain way to run away from this place or become aggressive and attack the snake. So the simple behavior of running away from a threat or managing or challenging a threat depends on my perception about that, and the perception gives me the information, how I analyze the information, and how the information triggers my emotion, and then all three together produces behavior. Even though it looks very simple, behavior is not that simple. It's complex because it depends on many other factors. Some of the behaviors can be deceptive. Some of the behavior I can control. I might be feeling very sad, I feel like crying, I might control myself. I might not express fully because it is in a public place, and I might hesitate to break down and cry. Something in me controls me, inhibit that kind of emotion, and I can control myself. So I can modify the behavior depending on the situation, because one aspect of the information I receive is I need to feel sad, something bad has happened. Other aspect of the mind might tell me, no, this is not the time to break down and cry, you need to kind of control yourself, manage yourself, because you are needed for something else. You need to manage the situation. So there are different kind of a thought process goes on in the mind that tries to control the brain behavior. And also behavior also depends on our past experiences. I had a very bad accident. I was involved in a very bad road traffic accident that triggers an anxiety and fear that lingers on. Then my mood becomes very anxious mode. That can lead to a behavior where they avoid driving for few days or few weeks or even months because of the fear. So that is avoidance behavior. That's again mediated by my experience, and the experience leading to fear, fear leading to avoidance. So these are all some of the ways behavior is mediated. So the three important faculties in the mind, perception, thought, and emotions, mediates our behavior. As I said, it is not a simple process. It's a complex phenomenon. We need to understand it. Sometimes behavior can be subdued. Sometimes behavior can be exaggerated. And sometimes behavior can move away from the normal range into abnormal behavior. That's where we get disorders. Suppose I see something which is anxiety provoking, then I become anxious. That is quite understandable, reasonable. Suppose I get the symptoms of anxiety without any threat or without anything to fear, or I imagine and fear, then becomes a psychological problem or a mental disorder. So it can be a panic attack, it can be anxiety, it can be phobia, it can lead to different diagnostic entities. That's how we analyze the behavior. That's how we need to understand the behavior. So behavior is an essential part of the mind. It is the kind of a product of the certain aspect of the mind, perception, thought, and emotions. And this behavior can be a positive behavior or negative behavior. This behavior can promote a person, enhance their life, or the same behavior can pull down the person's life. So that's why we need to understand the behavior, understand the concept of the behavior, understand what makes that particular behavior. So far we have covered 4 important aspects of the mind. We talked about perception, we talked about thought, we talked about emotion, we talked about behavior. These 4 are important aspects of the mind. There is one more aspect of the mind which is very fundamental and basic, on which the mind is built. These functions, mental functions or mind's functions, are called primary mental functions. They include memory, concentration, attention, so many things in that. So we will discuss about primary mental function in our next episode. Thank you for being with us. See you again in our next episode.